This is quite possibly my most overdue video. After all, I've been taking pot shots at the pint-sized Pegasus for over a year now.
Fluttershy is fucking pathetic.
With nary an explanation excluding a few asides during some of her episode reviews. So here we are, putting all the cards on the table. What's my beef with Horse Hippie? What puts the cheese in Cheesy Gordita? The answer may surprise you. This episode is brought to you by Roar. Now, before I begin, I think it's probably worth mentioning that this video is about why I don't like Fluttershy as much as the rest of the main six, not why she sucks. The hate in this title might be a bit of hyperbole, but you gotta admit it makes for a pretty nice title. Regardless, feel free to ignore essentially all of this if you don't agree, as my views on this matter are largely personal. I'm only making this video because people have been asking for an explanation for literally years now, so without further ado, why Fluttershy bugs me. My issue with the character of Fluttershy really all comes down to who the girl is. I've mentioned in videos past I'm not a fan of the fact that her character remains largely static and that most of her episodes consist of her repeating the same general conflict over and over again. But to be honest, there isn't a whole lot of dynamic characters in this show at all. Most of the cast largely stays within the realms of their archetype, even Rarity, who I laud for character development constantly. Despite Rarity having some fantastic episodes in the spotlight that speak of the beginnings of changes in her character, Sweet and Elite coming to mind most notably, Rarity as a character hasn't really grown all that much as a result of these episodes. It's just easier to mask that faux dynamism when your main character weakness isn't as blatantly worn on your proverbial sleeve as Fluttershy's is. Some character archetypes merely lend for more varied conflicts in character-driven episodes than others, Fluttershy being apparently a bit more difficult for DHX to work with. Clearly then, this isn't the main reason I take issue with her character. So, what is it? Fluttershy is the archetypal timid character, the social recluse that can come off as awkward to the more social members of the cast, but has a gentle heart and kind soul if you give her the benefit of the doubt. People love Flutters, and they love her because of these traits. They love her because she's shy. However, despite her shyness being the entire point of her character, it's really the crux of all my misgivings with the poor girl, because despite her name essentially stating otherwise, Fluttershy is more than just shy. She has a medical condition called generalized social anxiety disorder, as diagnosed by myself using my excellent professional medical degree, and is in no way the result of slapdash research looking over the first couple results of a Google search. Just look at the symptoms of social anxiety disorder and tell me it doesn't ring a bell or two. People with social anxiety tend to be sensitive to criticism and rejection, have difficulty asserting themselves, and suffer from low self-esteem. The most debilitating cases of social anxiety disorder can make everything from walking to a table at a restaurant to attending your best friend's wedding a cause for sheer terror. This starting to sound familiar to anyone? Now, I'm sure at this point a lot of you are thinking, dude, her name's Fluttershy, not Flutter Anxiety. That's just the thing, she's shy. You're overthinking this whole thing, man. Well, let's test that theory for a second. The difference between being shy and having a disorder are pretty simple. A person who is shy will be hesitant to put themselves in social situations, but give themselves the extra push and eventually calm down and adjust to the situation. People with social anxiety are thrown into a blind, desperate panic and can start manifesting physical symptoms such as flushing, cold sweats, and increased heart rate, which can lead to heart palpitations. So, which of these scenarios better describes Fluttershy? Gee, I wonder. Now, this is all well and good, but at this point you may be wondering why I'm even fixating on such a small, subtle fact of Fluttershy's disposition. I mean, even if Fluttershy acts like she has issues, it's just a cartoon, right? This is a little ridiculous. And it is, I admit it. But again, this is how I perceive the character. It's an explanation on why I interpret her the way I do. And that leads me to perhaps simultaneously my most damning and most undermining point of this entire critique, is that I'm not a fan of Fluttershy because Fluttershy is a lot like me, and I wouldn't wish that part of me on anyone. I live with a lot of the same mental issues Fluttershy does. Now, don't misunderstand me. I've never been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, nor do I think I probably even have the condition, seeing as I've been able to run panels in front of hundreds of people and run this YouTube channel for thousands. But there's something incredibly difficult for me when it comes to asserting myself, or having any true semblance of self-confidence. When in social situations, I immediately feel the least important, internally placing myself on the bottom of the social totem pole almost reflexively. And in this regard, I can relate to Fluttershy quite well. Not to the medically paralyzing degree, of course, but a lot of it is there. To the point when first watching this series, I identified with Fluttershy the most, and in a lot of ways, I still do. And that's the issue right there. That's what really bothers me about Fluttershy. She's a character designed with a mental health disorder and is presented in such a way that the very condition that so hampers her is supposed to be endearing her to the audience. You bond with Fluttershy over her shyness, over her suffering. Fans of Fluttershy worship her shyness and put that characteristic of hers on a pedestal. They think it's cute. And why shouldn't they? That's how the series presents her and expects you to interpret her interactions. But these personality traits aren't something to be lauded or to be taken lightly. They're crippling mental blocks, and anyone suffering them is constantly struggling with this very thing will instantly recognize this as a problem, and yet the vast majority of people just think it's so kawaii desu. And don't tell me that Flutters isn't struggling. What with all these mental breakdowns and paranoid delusions, this filly shouldn't be celebrated, she should be getting help. But she's not. These aspects of her are praised like they're good things, that they're funny and entertaining. Fans of Fluttershy enjoy her struggles at best, or at worst, her condition is fetishized, and people project themselves as the savior or guardian of this archetype, imagining themselves as their knight in shining armor, coming to their rescue and endearing themselves to the character in question. But just no. Jesus Christ, no. 1,000,000 times no. These are the absolute worst personality traits anyone could have, save for being an outright asshole. Being shy to this degree, it kills you. It closes so many doors, denies you so many opportunities, and worst of all, you know it. You know you're continually shooting yourself in the foot, but some unconscious voice continually demeans your own abilities constantly on repeat, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, until the day you die. And on some level, you believe it, because that voice is a part of you, and more often than not, it's the strongest part of you. Now don't get the wrong idea. I'm not attacking the show staff or anything for crafting a character like this. This archetype is in all kinds of media, not just in MLP. It's a very common type of characterization, so really this video isn't so much a comment on Fluttershy herself as it is the trope that she represents. I can understand why a lot of people like Fluttershy. In a lot of her episodes, it shows her overcoming these limitations in isolated incidents, and to anyone who faces personal challenges that are similar, seeing someone like herself triumph is a great motivator to struggle to overcome your own problems. But despite enjoying these isolated moments, they aren't enough to shake the overarching sensation of discomfort I get when Fluttershy is on screen. To me personally, Fluttershy is just a glorification and a constant reminder of what I perceive to be my greatest weakness. And no amount of characterization or cuteness is going to be able to let me ever truly overcome that. So that's all I got for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you thought it was some good food for thought, or give it a thumbs down if you thought it was the crappiest thing ever. Let me know what you think of Fluttershy by leaving a comment below. Or, if you want to try something more fancy, check out this week's sponsor, Roar. Today's sponsor is actually a really cool company making a really cool application called Roar. Roar is a podcasting app for your Android or an iOS device. What's sweet about Roar is that you don't need anything else to get it set up. All you need is your mobile phone and you're ready to be podcasting in less than 30 seconds. All it takes is 2 taps and you're sharing your voice with the world. Roar makes it super simple to share your broadcast either on Facebook or Twitter, but has a bunch of built-in social features that are really good too, like being able to add titles, descriptions, and images to your podcast, as well as being able to browse other people's shows, comment, like, and add them to your friends list. If you've always wanted to make a podcast but didn't really know where to start, Roar is your all-in-one solution you've been looking for. Check a link in the description and download it for your device today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, this channel stays alive and I get fed through the generous support from you guys, the viewers. Check out the link below to help support this channel by becoming a patron and get access to tons of exclusive stuff. Buy a shirt from my merch shop, or sign up for an Audible trial via my affiliate link in the description. And even if you can't hook me up with a few bucks so I can nab a coffee for those long, lonely nights of editing, the best way to support me is, of course, to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Tommy Oliver, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.
Like you can, though it don't matter 'cause you understand. Sometimes I think that I am overwhelmed by the vastness of my realm. Reaching up, the sun splits in 5, and somehow I know I'm